Rodney.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. Please turn off or silence your cell phones. And if you wish to speak on an agenda item, please sign up with Mr. James right over here. A roll call.
Ex officio Marthouse.
Here.
Director Tozan.
Here.
Director Ramirez.
Here.
Director Nutting.
Here.
Director James.
Here.
Director Ertel.
Here.
Director Becker.
Here.
Secretary Sislo present. Treasurer Rayner. Vice President Gillen.
Here.
President Knobloch.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, next, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep, we're good.
Okay, next we have the approval of the minutes from the February 21st meeting.
I move that the minutes of 2/21/22 be approved as provided in your packet.
Second that.
Okay, it's moved by Ms. Sislo, seconded by Dr. Nutting to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Next is to approve or amend the meeting agenda. Does anyone have a reason to amend the agenda? If not, we'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Gillen makes the motion, and Mr. Marthouse seconds it. Anyone have any questions about that? All in favor, just say aye. Aye. Okay, that was approved. We don't have any presentation. We have a president's report. I don't normally comment on pending litigation, but there's really so much confusion and completely false information being given out there, especially on social media, that I'm making an exception this time. 3 points I want to make. Number one, the legal question regarding whether the POA's or the membership's action taken in 2010 concerning the expiration of covenants issue is proceeding through the courts, and it's not related to any collection of unpaid dues. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the master covenants authorize liens and other collection efforts in any court of law or equity as remedies for failure to pay dues assessments. The Supreme Court of Mississippi has already ruled in the Bridgetown Community Association lawsuit that our POA has the legal authority to do that. It's the second thing. The third thing, the cases that the POA is presently bringing to court do not, and I repeat, do not involve any covenant expiration issues, because our cases only involve properties that owed back dues before their covenants may or may not have expired. Okay, so that's important. And there's several $100,000 in back dues that are owed. The POA, the board, has the fiduciary responsibility to make decisions in the best interest of the board, of the company. And obviously going after things that are owed is to the benefit of the POA. Okay, you may have seen some new signs on the golf course stating that the cart paths are private property and restricted to use by golfers. This is a liability issue because we have some people insist on walking, running, skating, pushing baby strollers, and driving their own golf carts while golf is being played. Nationally, about 26% of golfers score below 90. That means about 75% really don't know where the ball is going when they hit it, okay? And that applies to many of the people up here, not everybody, but most of them, okay? That means non-golfers walking or riding or whatever have a good chance of getting hit by a golf ball. And in our litigious society, what do you think would happen if Jane Doe got hit by a golf ball out there? I think we can all answer that question, and we just don't want to have to get involved in it because then we got to spend money defending it, although I think we'd win in the end. Two property owners, after they saw this, and this happened earlier and it happened again within the last 10 days, they told me they pay their dues, so they should be allowed to use the golf cart pass anytime they want. So I asked them if they knew that each golfer who has his or her own cart pay an extra $700 a year in a trail fee or a cart fee to use it out there. And their mouth kind of dropped, okay, and they had no idea. Same thing if a visitor comes here, almost everybody except some tournaments rents a golf cart. So they're paying an extra fee also to use a golf cart. So this stuff about, anybody can use it anytime is simply not correct. It does cause us a liability problem. And once you start saying, well, come on, you want to pay $700 extra? They kind of say, no, thank you. The weather is warming up. Our patio's increasing usage a lot. If you hadn't been to the club in a while, consider going over there. And finally, tonight, Latitude 30 is having a special event as we speak to represent the one-year anniversary of the opening of Latitude 30. So when this is over, I encourage you to join me and others up here at Latitude 30. Okay, next is committee reports. Mr. Ramirez?
No reports this week.
Mr. Becker or Mr. Marthouse? Anything?
Nothing for me.
Mr. Becker?
Yes, the golf committee met on March the 10th. Some of the issues that we talked about were the software conversion update, which the golf shop is in progress, the drainage correction for the drainage areas that aren't draining on the golf course, the pump house controller on the Pine course, which we approved several months ago, has been installed and is working properly, the sand traps, and also we talked about the golf course signs in that meeting also. That's it.
Okay, Ms. Sislo?
The Recreation Committee met a couple weeks ago, and we discussed the newly refreshed tennis court, pickleball court that's by the clubhouse pool. There were some concerns about the method of being able to use that court, but the committee felt that we have a good process in place, and that does include members checking in at the golf pro shop in order to get the code to access the court. We also are working on summer camps for kids, trying to find ways to provide amenities, access to various amenities. We're looking at a tennis camp, golf camp, and then an all-sports camp. So we're working on those kind of things right now. Also discussed the need to replace some furniture throughout some of the recreational facilities.
That's it. Dr. Nutting, anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Tozan?
Nothing.
Mr. Gillen?
Admin didn't meet, but for the marina, you'll see on the agenda, we have a motion to modify the existing ship store. That can be done for quite a less money than if we'd have had to buy a new one. The good thing about this modification is it meets all of the specs that were put on us by FEMA and by the city, and we may be able to have it in place by the end of April, which would be a great thing with the everybody starts utilizing the harbor more. We'll have a place for people to check in, to buy bait, to buy fishing tackle, whatever they need to do. The bad thing that has happened is that the contractor that had won the award to take out the old docks has not done anything. He's been told to proceed. He signed something saying he would, but he hasn't. Along those lines, we will be meeting with the Department of Marine Resources the end of this month to see how we can proceed and maybe get something going with that. The other bad part was the dock bids came in and they were out of reach for us. But there are some things we may be able to do to still keep moving forward, and we'll keep you informed on how that goes. One thing that I would like to mention, if you, I know a lot of people don't read the Diamondhead news, but things continually change and evolve in there. And there's a new column in there called Diamondhead Aviation, and it's written by Paul Gilbert, someone who lives over on the south side on the airport, and it's very well written. And he goes into a number of the things that civilian aviation covers as far as their licenses, have to keep up with their, what they have to do to be able to fly at night, to fly in bad weather, and those type of things. Even if you aren't a pilot, you can read this and be able to understand. He brings a lot of light to it, and it's something good. That's it.
Okay. Ms. Ertel?
The House Committee did not have a meeting this month, but like you said, the Latitude 30 is having their anniversary celebration this evening, and I encourage everyone to attend.
Mr. James?
I have nothing to add.
Okay, next we have the General Manager's report. Mr. Abady?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I typically put together a packet for you with various information. This evening's packet, just an overview, includes the POA goals and focus areas on page 1. I'll hit a few of the highlights as it relates to this summary. The area specific to the marina, as Mr. Gillen referenced, we'll be meeting with DMR on March 28th. And one of the reasons for us wanting to meet with them is, as you all know, the funding of the improvements at the marina as it relates to the docks will be through grant money. And we want to make sure that the way that it's used is approved by DMR. So we'll learn more about which contractor we can go with or what our options are in the March 28th meeting. Hole number 13 on the Cardinal course, as most of you know, has been impacted by the real estate developer Elliott Homes, and recently the silt fencing gave way and some of the topsoil that they have on their lot pads washed into the greenside bunker. And that's unfortunate. I've been in touch with their representative, and they expect to take care of that and do the right thing. On Monday, March 21st, we're meeting with their representative, and we're going to have them install a curb line along the edge of the cart path to take care of some of the water runoff and erosion to ensure that we don't have adverse effect when we have heavy rains. Also on the Cardinal course, you'll see some workmanship taking place on the rest area, halfway house. Termites have gotten into some of the beams, and we're going in and replacing that with proper timber. And it's still functioning. Access to the restrooms are available, but that's what's taking place there. The other item that I have highlighted deals with Elliott Homes and the memorandum of understanding that we put in front of them and requesting that they sign off on it. They had some comments and revised it, sent it back to us. We, in turn, have submitted a rebuttal to their proposed MOU, and I'm yet to hear from them, but hope to in the next short time period. Next in your packet is the financial summaries for the month of January 2022. It's a typo on here where it says 2021. That's an indication that they were put together fairly rapidly, and I would view these as preliminary in scope, in fairness to Darian and the accounting team. They provide a summary by department, and it indicates that the country club has a negative variance year to date of 73,503, if I read it right. Year to date 112,296. So I don't have the backup for these financials, so I can't explain to you what caused the variances, but I will as soon as they're made available to me. As you all know, we have begun posting financial summaries on the website, and I think for the year 2021, all 12 months are reported. The next page in your packet is relates to revenues generated through POA membership dues, golf membership dues and fees, tennis memberships, and pickleball memberships. Just to go through it real quick with you, on the POA membership dues, there were 1,985 property owners who elected to pay monthly. For the month January and February, that total comes to $222,320. In addition, we have 2,257 property owners who elected to pay annually. That's a lump sum paid in advance for the year, and that total amount is $1,458,022. Golf and tennis and pickleball are pretty much self-explanatory, but the reaction to the property owners coming in willing to pay and take care of their responsibility and obligation as they agreed to when they purchased property is encouraging, and we thank everyone for doing so in a cooperative manner. The next page in your packet is a summary of food and beverage sales for the club, and the left-hand side of the page gives the 3-month average for the months October, November, and December 2021. The middle page shows what we did in January and also February. It gives the revenue generated by day of the week, and it also provides you with average revenue per day and total revenue by location, location being latitude 30, Oak Room, events, or banquets and ballrooms. So it's a good analysis, and it helps us make some, we hope, rational decisions. The next page in your packet is a amenity use summary. Again, it's self-explanatory, and one that needs a little further study in that when I look at it, the average rate per guest round for golf is $41.96 during the month of February. That includes cart fee rental. I've checked with Chris, and I've asked him to do a little study and see if there aren't some 9-hole or preferred rate events that may have taken place to cause that number to be askew. The next page in your packet deals with collections. And as the president pointed out, the collection process derives significant income for the POA, and it's an active center. Recently, as you all know, we went to justice court, and the judge ruled and dismissed the cases that were brought forward. Those cases have been appealed, and we're waiting for the next court date. Again, those were in pursuit of past due balances on accounts with property owners whose covenants had not reached or will not reach, or may have, or could be somehow, maybe somewhere, maybe expired. And the last page is a quick shot at sales and marketing and community center activity. I believe there's a function at Twin Lakes tomorrow with the boaters group. And unless any of you have questions, I'll sit down and be a good boy.
Greg, I have 2 questions for you. Obviously, in the golf rates for guests, that $41.96 has to be looked at because we don't have any rates that are that low. right, for guests with a card. So obviously something needs to do then. But just to clarify on the marina, it's the perception of a good bit of the membership that we're not doing anything down there. And if I'm correct in thinking, when we gave the accepted contractor the bid, accepted the bid to tear out the old piers on the marina, that they have pushed back at us 3 times already, and that they agreed to start March the 1st, but they still have not started. They only had 20 days from March the 1st to complete the job, right? So they're going to be in default very soon, and that we're hoping that the Bureau of Marine Resources will allow us to use the second bid, which was slightly higher, but that contractor has verified, I believe, to you that they're prepared to start fairly soon and get the job done, which is what we want.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
The right to proceed was authorized by the POA with the contractor who had the lowest bid. He gave indication that he would mobilize March 1st, needed 20 working days to complete. He didn't show, and furthermore, when he was questioned, didn't indicate when he would be able to show. So we began to think, well, should we go with the next bidder, whose proposal was slightly higher than the first? He was prepared to commit to a date to begin the demolition. His date was March 21st, but we became a little uncertain as to whether or not the DMR would support their definition of best and lowest bid needs to be clearly defined for us. So March 28th, which I think is Monday, a week,
Yes.
We'll find out and be able to proceed. We're anxious to get started out there, and I think Mr. Gillen referenced the ship store trailer and also a restroom trailer that will be brought in sometime in July, I believe. So we're anxious to show and do some work there. And the other item that I overlooked, thinking of Marina, reminds me of the South Side and the airport, is unfortunately we find it necessary to go up on our fuel prices at the airport, and they'll go into effect this Monday, the 19th, 20th, I think, 21st. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you.
I think it'd be interesting, just 'cause Mr. Gillen mentioned this, that the bids to put in a new docks came in higher. Wasn't the bid $350,000 or something like that? Just to put in,
Yeah, it was over $360,000. Now, that would have replaced one of the docks, and it would have replaced it with not only the main dock, but then all of the finger docks. So you would have been able to put probably, what, Gary, 20 boats in there
Yeah.
or something like that? So the thinking is now, maybe we can go back with just like Pier 4, with just a one long pier, and maybe get 10 and be getting revenue at least. And later, if we can get another DMR, give us some more money, then maybe we can add the fingers later.
okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you. Mr. James, does any members want to speak on an agenda item?
No.
Okay. Next, we go down to the regular agenda. We have a motion 2022-6, a motion to approve 8 replacement chairs for tennis club viewing towers not to exceed $4,500. Someone like to make that motion?
I make that motion.
And,
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion from Ms. Sislo and a second by Dr. Nutting. Ms. Sislo?
Currently, the viewing towers are kind of those elevated places around the tennis courts. As you can imagine, it's easier to watch tennis from above. And the chairs themselves are deteriorating. They are not always safe to sit on, a little unsteady, and it's time to replace them. So we just asked for enough to make sure that we stay safe and nobody falls off a tower.
hard to follow that. Anyone else have any comments?
My only comment is if they're unsafe, unsteady, then we need to remove them from use.
Actually, they have been pulled. It's just now we need something there for people to sit on. You know, they can stand up there, but that's a long time to stand in the heat to watch things. So we have taken care of the safe part, but if we don't replace them, we got people standing. So they need to be replaced is my point.
Okay,
Are these in line with a lot of the other type of furniture we've been getting for outside?
Right, Donna Getty is using the same process to get us equivalent furniture that
Okay.
tolerates the sun and the strain. Thank you.
any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second, so all in favor of the motion, raise your right hand, please. It's unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have motion 2022-7, a motion to approve 10 chairs for the North Rec Pool not to exceed $3,000. Someone like to make that motion?
I so move.
Ms. Sislo moves. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Gillen seconds. Ms. Sislo?
This is a similar process. Gradually over time, the rec staff has been replacing that furniture that needs to be replaced, moving furniture from one place to another to try to keep consistency. Someone did ask about how they could be such expensive chairs, but these are the Adirondack chairs, and those do tend to be more than a regular, just upright desk chair or table chair. So it will keep the North Rec Pool able to have enough supplies for the families there.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have-
Quick question.
Yes.
I see, so in this motion, we're looking at 10 chairs for $3,000. Is there some reason that the ones for the tennis club, it's 8 chairs for $4,500? Could we not use the same type chairs, or is there something special about the ones on the, for the tennis club viewing that need to be more expensive?
Well, the viewing stand is up in the air. They're tall. They're almost like a, what do I want to say, a bar stool as compared to an Adirondack chair. So the shape and the style is dictating the price.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, so we have a motion to approve 10 chairs for the North Rec Pool not to exceed $3,000. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous, so that passes. The next motion is 2022-08, a motion to approve the purchase of 3 pieces of used equipment and piping supplies to begin a 2-year drainage project on both golf courses not to exceed $36,000.
I make that motion.
Mr. Becker makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Mr. James seconds it. Mr. Becker?
Yes, we have several holes on both golf courses. It amounts to 6 and 1 marginal, 7 holes that we've had found very difficult to drain during last year's 100 inches of rain. And the situation, of course, was exacerbated by that much rain, but it's existed for a long time. We have some piping under the ground that's now 40 years old that's not doing its job to promote drainage anymore. And we brought in a golf course architect to look at the situation. And they came back with a bid from a company in New Orleans which was exorbitant, something that we couldn't afford. So our superintendent spoke to some of his counterparts in other areas nearby and people he knew, and came up with a plan to inject sand into the layer of ground where it would drain better. And to give us an example, we were told that our top layer of ground for the first foot of ground primarily is like this sponge. It's good drainage material, it's topsoil and it's sand, but beneath that is our typical Mississippi red clay. And he said, think about taking this sponge, filling it up with water, and then sitting it on top of this desk. He said, how long is it going to take that water to get out of that sponge? Well, that's what we're encountering on the golf course. The water in the top layer of dirt and soil with the drainage systems underneath either not there or not working completely is leaving the water just sit there for long periods of time. It's tough to get the grass mowed. The equipment won't run on it without leaving ruts. And so our superintendent came up with this program. It's a 2-year project. The total cost will be about $70,000. He said we'll see an improvement over the first year, and he found 3 pieces of used equipment that were in good shape coming off of a John Deere lease at another high-powered country club that we could get. One of them is a Dakota material handler. It's got a hopper of sand. It's got these blades underneath that cut into the ground, and then the sand fills up the holes as it goes along. The second piece of equipment, you pull it behind a tractor. The second piece is a sod cutter that you use to cut sod. We have a sod farm in the back now of the driving range that we can use to patch. We also can take up some of the sod in the areas that we need to repair and put piping in and so forth. The sod cutter will enable us to save that sod. And the third piece is a Terra brush, which of course is a brush that goes along and makes the surface sand blend into the ground so that the courses remain playable while this project is undertaken. And that's what we're asking to do. It's roughly, the whole total project is 1/10 of what an outside company wanted to come in and put in drainage. It's for pipes and those 3 pieces of equipment to get it started. We'll buy sand as we go along, and our own crew will do the work. So we hope to see a vast improvement in those holes that are giving us problems now, and it'll be a long-term solution.
Okay, Mr. James, you seconded. Do you have any comments?
The only thing I would add to Gary's comment about the layer beneath the topsoil, as you could say, it's typical would be in farmland where it develops a hard pan and the water can't penetrate it in a reasonable period of time, and that has to be broken, and this air jet fills these holes with sand, which helps create drainage. Along with, over time, Gary had mentioned that the equipment was this initial purchase. The remainder is sand that would be bought over time and used to inject, plus top coat over months and months to build the top layer up as grass grows through it, which makes the soil much more stable and drains better.
Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I'd like to add that this equipment can be used in other areas of the POA responsibility where we do have drainage problems and drainage areas, especially the piece of equipment that Ronnie's talking about. So, you know, this will not only be for the golf course, but these pieces of equipment can be used in a lot of other areas.
I have one comment. It says piping supplies. Most of our piping, like I had the same thing in front of my house and on the side, is that corrugated piping that was put in the 90s, and there's nothing left, okay, except holes. So we would obviously go to the newer type. Anybody else have any other questions?
The only other question that I have is this time of year, we're getting to the time of year where the grass is going to start growing and the employees are going to get busier and busier. Are we going to have enough employees or people to be able to handle this additional equipment? I mean, this is obviously something that we have not done in the past, and so I don't know if we are equipped to handle the extra load at this time. Is there an option that we may need to hire someone to help with the possible? It's possible.
It's possible, but the superintendent at this time feels like it's an ongoing project that he can handle.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments? Mr. James, you were about to
Yeah,
say
I
something?
would just follow up with Lloyd's question. It's not like we could fix one hole. We would not shut a hole down from play other than maintenance day, which we do each course for 1 day per week. We utilize that time to do what we could, and then as a gradual process, try to do it in that manner.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. We had a discussion. So now a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, it was a unanimous, so that passes. The next thing is motion number 2022-09, a motion to approve not to exceed $16,500 to modify the existing ship store trailer. Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Gillen makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
I believe that was Mr. James. Holler. Second. Okay, Mr. Gillen?
Yeah, as we said, this is a trailer that we had that FEMA and MEMA decided was too big, and it had to be moved, which they said it couldn't be moved, but obviously we move it quite easily. Well, not easily, but we move it. And, you know, all things beyond, it's a 44-foot long trailer. We can cut it down to 28 feet, and it will measure 360 square feet, which the city has given us, with MEMA's approval, the ability to do. What we'll be doing is cutting it down. They'll finish the trailer with a like exterior, caulk and paint the exterior of the trailer. We're also going to apply a sealant to the roof of the trailer to extend the life of that roof on it. And we estimate that we'll probably save $35,000 doing this to this trailer over buying a new one, and save probably 3 months of extended time waiting on a new trailer. So like I said, they're expecting, depending on obviously weather and some material, but they feel they can have it ready by the end of April.
Any other questions or comments?
Both of these trailers, the ship shore trailer and the bathroom trailer, both of those are going to be hooked up where they can be disconnected and removed during a storm, correct?
Yeah, this trailer can be moved. It was moved, obviously. It was our old trailer. This one, like I said, they're going to have to relocate when you cut off part of it, you got to relocate the axles. But it'll be easier to move because it's a little bit smaller. But the bathroom trailer is a ADA compliant and also can be moved. Much smaller trailer. We won't have any problem with moving both of them.
Lloyd, according to the city ordinance or requirement for us having this trailer, is one of the things is we have to move it once a year, even if there are no named storms.
Okay.
And then have it inspected, and then we can put it back again. So it has to be mobile.
Okay, good deal. And I mentioned this last time, but if anybody wants to see an example of something similar to the bathroom trailer, Past Christiane's got one sitting right there by the Shaggy's. It's in front of it anyway. If you want to look at it, you can take a look at that one.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, we've had a motion and a second. Now we'll vote on the motion to approve this motion 2022-09. All in favor, raise your right hand, please. It's unanimous, so that is approved. The next thing is POA members' comments on non-agenda items. Do we have anybody, Mr. James?
We do not.
Ms. Hertel?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Can I second it too?
Mr. Rammer has a second.
Darn.
Thank you.